So before you go out and buy the new iPad 10 that was just released recently, should you consider one of Samsung's most popular tablets, the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite 2022 edition? Well, today we're going to compare as much as possible to find out which is the better option. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, as far as pricing goes, the Galaxy Tab starts at $349 in the United States. The iPad starts at $449, but you should be able to save even more with the Galaxy Tab with holiday sales going on right now. On the Galaxy Tab, you get a 10.4-inch screen, 1200 by 2000 resolution versus 10.9-inch on the iPad with 2360 by 1640 resolution. So a little larger screen on the iPad, and when you put these next to each other, you'll see the iPad's a little bit wider and it weighs a little bit more at 477 grams versus 465 for the Galaxy Tab. And then while the screen is fully laminated and decently bright on the Galaxy Tab, it's not quite as bright as the iPad 10. Also has better viewing angles. The Galaxy Tab that I have does have a light bleed issue there on the edge of the screen. Another difference between these two, you're going to get the S Pen included with the Galaxy Tab, where to get the first gen Apple Pencil, that's going to be at an extra cost. It also charges in sort of an odd way now that the iPad is USB-C instead of the Lightning port that's on the iPad 9. The S Pen on the Galaxy Tab just snaps right to the side and it doesn't need to be charged, so that's nice as well. In my opinion, if you want better drawing or note-taking, I feel like the Galaxy Tab is going to be the better option. I also feel like they should have made the iPad compatible with the second gen Apple Pencil, but at least you can use the first gen, which is better than nothing, I guess. Then when it comes to the battery life on these two, I ran my typical battery drain test and the iPad lasted around 5.5 hours at full screen brightness, where the Galaxy Tab lasted 2 hours longer at 7.5 hours. But just keep in mind, the iPad display is brighter, so if you turn that screen brightness down, it's going to be a little closer. But they both should have plenty of juice to get you through a normal workday, even longer if you turn the screen brightness down. The other difference is going to be when it comes to performance. While the 2022 edition has been improved over the previous Galaxy Tab, and it does have the Snapdragon 720G processor, it's not really a match for the A14 Bionic chip in the iPad 10, which is still pretty impressive even though it's an older chip. As you can see by glancing at the Geekbench scores, I thought the iPad 9 had decent performance, but the iPad 10 is even better. Just moving around the software, you're going to notice the iPad is a little bit snappier or smoother than the Galaxy Tab, and the iPad is going to be a better option for video editing or just doing more intense stuff, where the Galaxy Tab is going to struggle a little bit more compared to the iPad. Gaming is also going to be a little bit better on the iPad, which isn't a huge surprise here considering the better performance, but both should be enjoyable for most people when it comes to playing games. You can even play most of the same games on both. It's just the iPad is going to load games a little faster, have better graphics, and just feel smoother when compared to the S6 Lite. Software wise, the Galaxy Tab just got updated, so it now has the taskbar at the bottom with Android 12, One UI 4.1.1, where the iPad is on iPadOS 16.1.1. So even though the software is going to be a little bit different between these two, you're still going to be able to do a lot of the same stuff on both tablets in just slightly different ways. And it's really going to come down to personal preference on which is the better software for you. So don't forget that the fingerprint scanner on the iPad is a nice feature to have, where you're not going to get that on the S6 Lite. But on the S6 Lite, you are going to get a headphone jack, where you don't get that on the iPad. And then when it comes to the speakers, even though you have a speaker on each side of the tablets, when I did a comparison between these two, it was pretty interesting. The cheaper Galaxy Tab appears to be a little bit louder and sounds slightly better than the more expensive iPad. Here's a quick audio test just to give you an idea of what to expect. Another thing that was kind of surprising to me is when comparing the cameras, you would think the iPad should win pretty easily now that it has the front-facing lens on the long edge for things like Zoom meetings, video conference calls, but the skin tone is just way too orange and the lighting just seems way overexposed compared to the Galaxy Tab, especially in low light situations. And then on the rear-facing cameras, the iPad can shoot up to 4K 60 frames per second for video recording, so it does have a slight advantage there. But still, the color seems way off and lighting appears to be better on the S6 Lite. As long as you have good lighting, you can't really go wrong with either, but here's a few samples of each just to give you an idea of what to expect. So hopefully this video gave you a little closer look at these two tablets from Apple and Samsung. I feel like it's actually closer than what you would think between these two. I've also got some more comparisons to do for the iPad 10, so you'll want to look out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.